can't save my soul from you. Sorry that you miss me. Second time from how you kiss me.
Recorded live from the John Pacino studio inside of High Tech High School in Secaucus, New Jersey. This is the High Tech Interview Show on WHIT Podcasting. I'm your announcer, Kanan, and now your host, Jose.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another interview. I swear we're doing one of these every week, man. This week we have a great show for you. My name is Jose Condon III. I'm joined by co-hosts Kanan, Caden. Behind the scenes, we got Jade, Olivia, and the wonderful Mr. DePiro working behind the scenes. But today we have an high-tech alumni, NJCU graduate, and American Idol contestant. Ladies and gentlemen, Sydney Millevio and her mentor, Mr. Zisa from musical theater. Everybody, round of applause.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today. We also have her manager in the corner there. We should be able to get them in the shot. We got everybody in here. This is gonna be a great show. Yeah, let's get a shot there. Awesome. Yeah, shout out manager. What was your name again? Christina. Shout out Christina. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for being here today. How has your story ended up with you coming back for an interview here today?
Hey, I mean, it's so easy. Like, if anyone asks me to do anything, I'll do it. Like, I'm at that point where, especially high tech, and it's such a emotional connection to the school, because this is where my story started. So it's an honor to be back.
Nice. Now, where are you from?
I'm from Secaucus, so I'm born and raised here, lived here all my life.
That's awesome. Any questions from the guys here?
No, I had actually a very important question that I feel will set up a lot of underclassmen. So how do you feel that high tech kind of helped you blossom into the person you are now and flourish as an artist?
Yeah, I mean, wow, loaded question. But my songwriting started here. My, I don't want to say like lack of a better word, but like my brand started here. Like, I know you can attest, but I was just like riffing and wailing my way across the halls. Like, it was just, without a doubt, just all the time singing. And this place really, crafted me into having confidence and kind of allowing me to see what the industry could be like at a smaller scale before we got to a bigger scale that we're at now. So it was really a great education before I got to the big stage, which really, really helped. So.
Yeah, one thing I will say, I work stagehand for all of the shows that happen in the school, and seeing the musical theater kids come in and immediately just get to work and do what they need to do kind of shows their professionalism. And I can attest that to Mr. Zisa. You guys do a great job of keeping your kids, down to earth, ready to work, and you guys always put on an amazing performance.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that means a lot. And to be real with you, Sydney was a bit of a unicorn in musical theater, and I thought about this a lot as the years went by, as I got further into teaching away from Sydney's graduation year, which is why I am so thrilled to be sitting with here. I actually asked her to do a concert with me in New York this December, because I feel like I didn't acknowledge the wholeness of Sydney's capabilities, because as a musical theater teacher, I felt like I probably tried to put her into a box, which I've learned since, that when you have somebody that can do everything and she can sing anything and she can perform anything, it's often best to let them just explore everything instead of trying to be like, well, you have to be an actress because you're in musical theater, when she could do so much more. Yeah. So I'm so happy and proud of her to have recognized that within herself, because I feel like that's part of what maybe I let her down with a little bit. Because, when you teach musical theater, it's like you've got expectations. Yeah. But oddly enough, and then I'll stop talking, I promise, we have a dance alum, who's in Alicia Keys' musical right now, Hell's Kitchen. Wow. And so we got to see it last week, and we spoke to some of the cast members, and there's a cast member, Shoshana Bean, which I'm sure you've heard of, was the same way as you. Like, she went to school for musical theater, but like all her teachers tried to put her into a box. And she's like, I'm so glad that I saw more in myself to explore more and not to let that stop me. Yeah. So I've learned from Sydney. I hope that she learned from me, but I just can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah, I'm gonna validate that because with the chorus line that just happened recently in the school, I've seen kids that are in my major that have I would have never thought to have anything to do with dancing and,
Right.
and singing, just go out there and perform, and they did an amazing job. And it was just like, wow, you guys really have something going on to bring something so foreign to a kid that works with computers,
Right.
to sing and dance.
Right.
That was just amazing to me. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about this school is that like sometimes because there's such classified majors,
Mhm.
it's like people get stuck a little bit and they don't always get to explore the rest of it. But it's
Yeah.
nice when there's opportunities where they can,
Mhm. Yeah.
so that they're not just doing what their major sort of tells them they have to do.
Yeah,
For
definitely.
This school allows somebody to discover themselves, and shout out stage crew.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Yes,
Ziza.
for real.
We just did chorus line in February, I believe. That was in February.
Yeah.
And then we
We
have
love
senior
chorus
recital. We have senior recital coming up this Wednesday,
Yeah.
next week. Everybody go check that out.
Yeah, please.
7:00 is going to be amazing. But going back to Sydney here, how did your time with Mr. Ziza specifically and you guys working together? It's a little similar to Caden's question, but specifically with Mr. Ziza, how did that prepare you for the next step?
So here's the deal, right? When I left high tech, I went to Rider University as a musical theater major for a year.
Right.
And while I was here, my journey, I had a rough time. Like mentally, it was rough for me because I knew that I had all of this inside of me that I wanted to share. And I was led in other directions. And at the time, I didn't know how important that was for the next step of going to college and like doing a musical theater major like that at a school like Rider University. But I say it I know I tell you about it, Christina, but you really did start my songwriting like journey, because we had an assignment where we had to take a musical theater song and completely turn it on its head and like make it a different genre. And I was so about it. I was like, oh my God, like I'm so excited to do an assignment. Like, so I chose one song, Glory from Rent, and I turned it into an R&B song.
Wow.
It's amazing.
And like I made a demo of it and I was really, really excited to like I wanted to do more with that. I wanted to like put it out, make it my own. So you were like, go to Mr. Lawson. Mr. Lawson was a teacher here for the audio tech major. And he was like, go see if like you can record it with him. So I was like, okay, I went to record it with him. I was like, I have this like demo. It was literally a YouTube background track. And to this day, I still write my demos with like YouTube background checks. So like background music. Right. So like, if anyone out there is a producer on YouTube, best believe that I'm out there, I'm listening, like I'm writing to your stuff. Like, but I sang it for him and he was like, no, we're going to record this. We're going to put it out. And we recorded it in the studio here. And like going back to what you're saying about this school being like such a melting pot of so many talents. Like, yes, I was in the musical theater major, but I was also allowed to do other things like hang out with the audio tech people and record a single. And that like really set me off into, what I wanted to do in my real life. I didn't know it at the time because in my journey at that point, I still wanted to be like, no, like I could really do musical theater. Like I felt like I still had something to prove. Like I was fighting it. And instead of like listening to everyone and be like, no, like write your own stuff. Like that's something that you need to pursue.
Right.
So while I was at Rider for that year, I would like go to dance class. I would go to ballet. Then I would go to like acting classes and I would only think about like going back to my dorm and like getting on my Blue Yeti mic and recording songs. Like that's all I would do. And then I finally came to my senses and left musical theater school and started to pursue music and all that stuff, which was
awesome.
Really
amazing,
great.
Yeah.
How did you get from Rider University to NJCU?
So I really had an experience at Rider University. Like going from high school musical theater to college musical theater, just like anything, like when you play sports in high school to like playing sports in college, like it's a completely different ballgame.
Definitely.
Like you're going from, your county to now being with the best of the people in like the United States. So it was like the competition was heavy and these were people that were like diehard musical theater people. And I just wasn't one of those people. So after a year, I really sat with myself and I was like, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Because I again, I was going back to my dorm after classes and like wanting to really write and vocal arrange and sing that outlet. So I talked to my mom and I was like, I don't think this is what I want to do. And she was like, that's totally fine. Come back home. So that's what I did. I came back home. I took a semester off and it was the best decision of my entire life. Another graduate from here, Josh Fowler, we were really close friends while we were here. He was 2 years above me. He was also in musical theater, but we really got close that semester and we started writing together. And then we started to do studio sessions together. And we like really blossomed as songwriters and everything. And then I was like, okay, well, I have to go back to school because I come from a really Italian family. And they were like, no, you need to get a degree. So literally, I went online. I put my name on the top for NJCU because there was like really nowhere else to go for me. Like I didn't really want to go to a really big school. I wanted to stay home and I wanted to songwrite and wanted to go to studio sessions. So I put my name on the application. I pressed save, and then a week later, an acceptance letter came in the mail. Like, I'm not even joking. And I was like, I guess I'll go to class.
Right.
And that turned into the best experience of my entire life. I met Christina. I learned about the business, which now is a really, really great tool to like have all that knowledge. Like we did some music law classes, we did marketing classes and management. So learning how to build my brand, especially going into American Idol, which is such an individual experience, like they don't really help you with anything. Like it's really just you on a stage figuring it out and paving your own path. So it's so crazy to look back at your life and see that everything is for a purpose. Mm-hmm. You know, the world kind of like shifts you into different paths and like, no, just trust because this is for a reason, you know? Mm-hmm. So that was my time.
I totally understand that one. If we weren't here, I think life would be so much different for everybody in this like major. So I totally get what you mean by that. Mm-hmm. How did you end up on American Idol? Like, what is the process?
So I am a big like listener to people. Like I am so grateful to have the people that I have around me because they really tell me what to do. Like, because I just want to do everything and I have a hard time like honing in on like what to do. Like I just want to be songwriting like all day. Like if I had the chance, I would be just in the studio or like in my room making demos all day. But everyone was like, oh my God, like you should start posting on TikTok. And I was like, okay. So I started posting on TikTok. One of my videos really blew up. And that's how I started to get a really big following on TikTok. Well, not really big, like 10,000 followers. But I started to post singing videos regularly just to like get my name out there, you know. They contacted me. They were like, we saw your page. We think you should come down and audition. So that was back in 2022. I did the first round of producer auditions and I did the second round of producer auditions and they went a different way. And I was like, okay, that's totally fine. Because at that point I had just entered like the wedding scene. I sing for a wedding band and I just started that. So I knew in myself that I still needed to grow a little bit more like vocally and like all of that. So I was watching the season like with a hawk eye and I was like, when this is over, I'm going to email them back because I felt ready. I was like, I could do it this time. So literally the day after finals, I emailed them. I was like, hey, I saw that the finale just ended and I think Ian Tongi won. I think that's what his name is. I emailed them. I was like, I would really love to come back and sing for you guys if you have me. He emailed me back literally 10 minutes later. He was like, we'd love to. So that was in May.
That's a great, for you just to like have the courage to like be like, hey, give me another chance. That's amazing.
Yeah. It was crazy. But me as myself, like in high school would never.
No, that's why. That's why I'm saying that because
would never ever do that.
A lot of growth.
No, never. But like I still have a really great voice teacher from NJCU. Her name is Argia Firestone, and she would like we were in a lesson one day. She was like, "Why don't you just call them up?" And I was like, "Okay, like sure." Like, so I emailed them back. I did the producer auditions again. That was in May. And then we waited like 2 or 3 months after that, I was in Florida. They called me back. I was literally in Disney World. And the producer who I was in contact with called me. And he was like, we need 3 videos of you singing by tonight. And I was like,
Wow.
literally like in front of the Disney castle, like, okay. So I ran back to the resort and I went to the bathroom because obviously like acoustics. And I sang 3 songs. I sent it back to them. And they were like, we want to fly you out.
Wow.
And I was like, got it. And I had to like cancel everything at school because I was still at school.
Mhm.
They called me in October. And they were like, it's going to happen really fast. You're going to get on a plane. It was a Monday. I think I was on a plane that Thursday.
Wow.
And I was singing in front of Katy Perry and Brian Lionel Richie.
No way.
It's crazy. It was literally wild.
Wow.
No way.
Yeah.
That same week that
Yeah.
they tell you, yes, we're
Crazy.
flying you out.
Mhm.
You're already performing in front of all of them.
It was wild.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's fair to ask, how was your experience at American Idol?
It was really great. I'm not gonna lie. Like it was great because all of the contestants there we were all in the same boat. Like the age range was really crazy too, because there was 28-year-olds and there was also like 16-year-olds. So it was a crazy match of people. So we were all really, really nervous because like they literally picked you up from your hometown and like expected you to perform in front of people that you've been looking up to since you were like 12, you know? So we were there for a week for initial auditions, and there was like 2 days of audition. So like if you were in the first day, you would go first, second day you go second. And obviously like my luck, I was in the second day, like one of the last people to go. So when I get really tired, my voice is like not the best. So the time change and everything, like I was really exhausted. We were on set from like 6 a.m. to 12 at night.
Wow.
So
6 a.m. to 12 a.m.
yeah,
That's
it was
wild.
great. Yeah, it was a long day. And I watched everybody sing the first day. And then I watched everybody sing the second day until I was like the third to last person there.
Wow.
And I think it really helped too, because I was so tired and so delirious that I was like, well, this is just what it's going to be. Like, I'm going to go in there like to sing in front of Katy Perry, Luke Bryan, Lionel Richie. Like, okay.
Regular Thursday, just a regular
literally,
Thursday.
I was
you
like,
know?
Yeah.
it is what it is. So I went
I'm
in
like
there.
too tired to be nervous.
Yeah, I
It's
was
like,
way
I
too
don't
tired to
even
be
have
nervous.
nerves because I'm so tired.
I'm just like, I'm tired. Like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. And my mom was there too. Like, they wanted my mom to come because that was like our storyline is my mom's an opera singer. And then like
Oh,
I
really?
learned
wow.
everything from her. So they were really interested in my mom. So the second day, it's like at this point 9 at night. So they call me in, and it was so Hollywood. Like, I've never experienced that level of Hollywood. Like, there was so many cameras. Like, I was walking down this hallway and there was lights everywhere, and there was 4 cameramen like going like this while I was walking down. I was like, this is insane. Like, I could see how they're gonna edit it as I'm walking down. Like, it was crazy. It was like I was living a dream. So I walked in there, and while you're outside, like before you go into that madness, they're like, okay, turn around. And I turn around, and then Ryan Seacrest comes behind you. And it's like, oh my God, like, so nice to meet you, blah, 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 blah. And at that point, I was like, you're Ryan Seacrest. That's crazy. So I'm like, hi, how are you? Like, nice to see you. And he goes, oh, like, you're a wedding singer. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a wedding singer, blah, blah, blah. He's like, have you ever performed for anyone famous? And I was like, Snooki that one time. So, and then I went in. And you can hear them talking and like laughing after, you know, everything's happening outside. So I'm like, wow, I hear them. So I go in there, and the only person who I can like conceptualize as a real person is Lionel Richie. So I walk in there and I stare him down. Like, I'm like, I can't look at Katy Perry because like to me that's like she's a celebrity. Like,
Oh my
I
goodness.
can't, like, I've been listening to her since I was
Yeah.
10 years old. Like, I can't do that. And I looked at him and I was like trying to tell him with my eyes, like, to get me through this. So I was looking at him the entire time, and he was looking at me like this. And I was like, he was like, what's your name? Blah, blah, blah. And I told him everything. Then they're like, what are you going to sing? and I sang "Sweet Thing" by Shaka Khan,
Oh, nice.
and
Love that song.
it was like I blacked out. Like I don't even remember. There's not
Wow.
even video footage to like go back and see and like be like, no, this is real. No,
Yeah.
I sang it, and they were looking at me like this. And then Luke Bryan was like, like I wouldn't have done the choices that you've done, but I'm gonna give you a note. And I was like, slay. So I'm not gonna be in the show. Like I'm going home. And then Katy Perry looked at him and was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, no, that's a singer. And she was like, I'm gonna give you a yes. And then I was looking at Lionel and I was like, please, like, just give me a yes so I can get out of here and go home. Like, and he was like, you're a yes for me, girl. And I left and I went to my mom and I was like screaming, crying. I was like, oh my God, I did it, like with the golden ticket. And then we knocked out and flew back to Jersey the next morning.
Wow.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot
That's
to unpack
awesome.
there, ladies
You're
and
telling
gentlemen.
me.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine living that and experiencing it all in real time. But Lionel Richie, Katy Perry, Luke Bryan, you already kind of spoke about like just the interaction. Did you get any like one-on-one moments with any of them or something like that?
I mean, at that point, there were so many people that there wasn't really time to get like a one-on-one moment.
Mhm.
But yeah, like it was just crazy seeing them in person.
Right.
That's like,
Are they real?
no, literally, like it was insane.
Yeah, it's like they're almost a concept until you actually see them in the flesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I was like, oh, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Any questions, fellas?
I actually do have a question. I know you mentioned your mother was an opera singer.
Mhm.
So this is like kind of like the family business type of deal. I know people going into the arts, especially, often face like backlash because they're pursuing the arts professionally. Is there any point in your life where you really had to deal with that? Because I know a story like that would be very inspiring to the freshmen that we have here.
I was blessed with a really supportive family in whatever I did, whether that be like soccer or like law. But
Oh, I remember those.
like,
days.
isn't that crazy?
Soccer day.
I literally missed the entire rehearsal process of Into the Woods because I had a soccer game every single
Into the
week.
Woods.
I remember.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar. Into
Yeah.
the Woods this year. Theater Arts drama
Yes.
will be performing that actually next week.
Yeah, next
Oh,
week.
wow.
Yeah,
As
please
senior
come out,
recital.
guys.
It's gonna be a
Support.
crazy week.
Yeah.
Slay.
Crazy
come
high
out.
tech performing arts week. Everybody come through. But go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, they're really, really supportive of everything I wanted to do,
Mhm.
which is very rare. I know not a lot of people get that.
Mhm.
But to be honest, the person who's really like held me back in a sense is myself.
Right.
And just learning how to combat that and be like, no, like you were put here for a purpose and like you have these gifts for a reason and you just need to keep going no matter what holds you back, like family or like finances. You just like have to keep going because like we live for it, you know.
Mhm.
Right.
But yeah.
Hello. So I have a question.
Alrighty, Jade.
So
Everybody,
I
Jade.
do know that Ziza was also on American Idol, and I want to ask, was your feelings like very much the same? Were you also like in that state of like, oh my God, I can't look at these people in the eye? Like, how was your experience?
Yeah. A few things. First of all, it was 20 years ago, so it was a super different show. Another thing, Sydney is an out by far, like much better singer than I ever was, will ever be. It's crazy, but yes, I'm listening to her tell the story, and it's like super similar. I mean, walking in, my judges at the time were Simon Cowell,
Wow.
Paula Abdul, and
Bro.
Randy Jackson.
Imagine that.
And
Worse, like-
that show had just started, really. I mean, it was only the 4th season of the show, so it was still like huge deal for these people. And then Ryan Seacrest actually wound up coming to my grandparents' house to film this like Italian Sunday dinner with them. It was like very like corny, and but like that's it's all about the storyline, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy walking in and having to sing for them. It was crazy I also got 2 yeses and a no.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
We are pulling this
First
up
of
right
all,
now.
the style alone is ridiculous. Terrible.
So
Like
It's a fit though.
very 2004
It's a fit though.
jeans. What washes that? What is on my wrist? Why are there puka shells on my wrist? Very Jersey Shore.
Giving.
Very I was also very scared. That's the other thing I remember. I was
Yeah.
very scared, very nervous, because similar to Sydney, like you walk in and it's like, you don't live this life. I mean,
Mhm.
I grew up singing in the church. I grew up singing in musical theater. And so when you're around the lights and the cameras and like, you know, it just was crazy, but it was amazing. I mean, similarly, I went to Hollywood. I made it through the week out there. They brought us, sorry, long story, even shorter. I'll be quick. Before my season, they had capped the top 36 and those people sang live. And so season 4, they're like, we need to change it up. We don't want it to get stale. So I made it to the 36, and then they decided to go one more round before they knocked it to 24. So they actually wound up flying us back in January. I left LA in November. They flew us back literally just to send everybody one by one down a very long hallway to go see the judges, and they were going to tell you whether you were 24 or not.
Wow.
Oh
So I
my
did make the
God.
top 40 that year, but that's as far as I got.
Mm.
And you know, I mean, it's crazy because like you were sitting in the room with the winner. Like
I
when you
was.
look back, you're like, wait, I literally was like, you know, Carrie Underwood won that
No,
year.
I
So it's
literally-
like, I literally was like talking to her. My father bought her lunch one day.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
She was 18. She's like, I've never been on a plane, y'all. Like it was great. Like
Wow.
it was
Wow.
it was insane to know that you were in the company and the most talented people in the country. And like you watch them sing, and one by one, you were like, how am I going to do this? They were so amazing.
Mm.
But yeah, it taught, I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see that Sydney's saying that it taught her a lot, and it taught her a lot about her own self-confidence and passion. Because for me, I came back super inspired. So even though you don't make it,
Mhm.
even though you don't technically win, you don't get as far as I would have liked to have gone, it's a huge confidence builder to be like, no, I was there. Like I did this, I can do this.
Mhm.
And so I just started singing a lot more.
Mhm.
It wasn't all church anymore. Like I got more comfortable singing outside of like that world.
Mhm.
And so, you know, the lesson to freshmen, the lesson to anybody is you just have to believe in yourself. And I know it's so much simpler than done, but like, you gotta just like not care. Like who cares?
Yeah.
Right? Like, and also what's the worst that can happen?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
no.
They give
Like
you, they give you one word answers.
Yeah.
Realistically.
they're
Like,
not
Yeah.
gonna like start you
They're
like
not gonna
they
dig
don't
into you.
no, and they
Yeah.
don't send you into like, I don't know, you're not going to jail. You're not going to like
right.
some far off, like isolated country if you like get a no. Like you go back to your life and your friends and your family, and
And
You're
everybody's
just
proud
Also,
of you.
it's also
was a
just a
big thing for
great
me.
experience to tell. And like
Exactly.
it's a great
realistically,
story.
Yeah, this is an
You're-
awesome story here. both of you
realistically,
guys.
you make it to the top 40, or in your case, how like whatever place you were
Mhm.
at, and you realize you're one of the top 40 people in the world, like
That can say that, yeah.
that can
Yeah.
sing. Like you were
Amazing.
there, you were on American Idol, you're one of the competitors for the best in the world. Like that alone is a crazy feat. And you know, having something like that, or even something smaller, you know, best in your town, best in your city, that's amazing
Absolutely.
to say. And the ability to say that should at least give you a some amount of pride and, you know, some amount of courage to do whatever you want when it comes to you competing again. So yeah, I think this is a great, you know, experience for both of you. I can see how it shaped you guys and your work, and how it really molds you guys into who you are now. And it's just
sure.
amazing.
Yeah.
And a lesson too is like to not compare yourself all the time.
Yeah.
And we, I
Mhm.
mean, I fell into that at American Idol, and I try to tell my students, especially in the arts where it is very competitive,
Mm.
and you're always like, but I can't sing that high, or I don't look like that, or whatever. Like, stop comparing yourself, because you are the only one, and there's only one you.
Mhm.
And it's corny, but to your point, like, just do you. Like,
Yeah.
be the
Mhm.
best you can be, and that's all you can really do.
Mhm. And at least somebody's going to see you for who you are.
Yeah, and
Realistically.
Yeah.
And you're not for everybody,
Exactly.
right?
Mhm.
Like, and
You're
it's
not
none
meant
of your
that- you're
business
not
why,
meant to be
but
that way.
that's right.
Yeah.
But like comparing, like going back to that, for my Hollywood week, I don't know if you did this, but the top 150, I think it was, we were in, like the whole thing was the Idol Arena.
Mm.
So we were all there listening to each other
Mhm.
for 2 days straight, like back
Mhm.
to back to back for an entire like 2 days.
Mm.
We were listening to everybody. So
And they weren't cutting as you went, right?
yeah.
They were, or
Yeah.
they weren't. They were.
No, they weren't. No. They cut. Well, actually, they cut in between auditions and Hollywood Week, but they didn't like tell us
Right.
anything.
So we were saying 5 at a time.
Mhm.
All like we started with 200, and by the time we left, it was down to like 40. But they would have us sing 5 at a time, and then they literally, as the 5, like you would go 1 at a time, and then they'd be like, yes, no, yes. So like people were also getting cut in real time as you were watching them sing.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
So you were also like, is it going to be me? Like it was intense. And then we also had group singing at the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, they didn't have that for mine.
Oh, yeah. We became like the
I-
joke.
Oh my God.
I would just like to add a little back to what Kaden was saying about just how you guys already have so much courage, and I think that should be applauded. Just to go on that show, regardless, go on these kind of things. Yeah, like you're talking about 5 people. Like I simply could not do that. So I definitely applaud you guys, and I
Yeah.
understand how it
Yeah.
connects to your art, makes you more confident as a person and you more interested in what you're doing. And I feel like it really ties everything together. So
Well, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, thank
Yes, it
you.
does.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but we were literally all watching everybody go one by one by one, and I remember sitting there, spooked. I was like, because there's so many genres of music, and I'm like, how in the world are they gonna dial it down to 50 people?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But when I went to sing for Hollywood Week, I sang "Gave It Away" by Ariana Grande and Jason Robert Brown. And I thought I was like a little strategic about it. I was like thinking to myself before we even started filming, I was like, everyone's gonna do a sad song and like mine's gonna be really upbeat and like it's gonna be great. And then, oh boy, was I wrong. Everyone starts singing like crazy stuff, fast, slow, but they were absolutely killing it. And I was like, okay, so I'm going home. Like that's what it's gonna be. So I sang it, and then Lionel Rich, I got a standing ovation from the entire place
Oh my
and
God.
also the judges.
Wow.
Wow.
And I was like, and I was sitting there for an entire 2 days, and I was like, no one got that. And I was like, what am I gonna do? I called my mom afterward. I was like, Mom, I think we're gonna have to stay like a little bit longer. Like, you better like cancel your plans. Like,
One interruption. Jump here, Saida, to the main office. Jump here to the main office.
anyway, but Lionel Richie looked at me in my face and said, because I hit a really high note, and he was like, the only person who I know can hit a sustained note like that is Minnie Riperton. And I lost my mind. I like went backstage and I like
That's
started
crazy.
bawling. I started bawling. I was
Wow.
like, this is
Wow.
insane. I was like, my life is about to change. Little did I know, I got cut. So
It's okay.
I went
Wow.
back the next day and I went back to school, and I
Mhm.
was weirdly okay with it. I thought
Yeah.
I was gonna be really, really upset about it, but I wasn't. Like, I was like, well, what am I gonna do now? Go back to my life and sing at people's weddings? Like, I've always wanted to do that. Like, I was okay. Like, I'm ready to go back and start singing again. So
Mm.
it was great.
That
Wow.
takes a lot.
It does.
And
for
I get
sure.
what you mean, like, because there was, we're just getting done with college application season, and I can only speak from my experience. Just you gotta take with what life gives you and just move with the roll with the punches. That's life.
100%.
Now we're wrapping up here, but before we wrap up, I just want to ask you, how did you get in touch with your manager, and how did you guys become a unit together?
I feel like you should sit and talk about this one. No?
Got an open
come
microphone
come
right
come
here.
on.
Do.
You gotta talk about this because it was a crazy story.
And you're very forgetful.
Yeah.
So hi. Yeah, so we started off as friends.
Mhm.
We had like one of the same performing classes together. And the first day it was cold and I was like, do you want to borrow my jacket? She was like, sure. And then she like almost walked out with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait. And then came back. And then we started becoming friends after that. And a couple months after that, she was like, would you want to be my manager? And at that point, I had heard her sing. And I was like, I don't think I know enough. And I don't want to mess up your career. Like, I don't want to be the reason that you don't do well because I feel like I'm not ready for it, right? So we put that on hold. And then maybe like a year later, this was, I think, after Idol. And
It was after Idol.
you were like, do you want to be my manager? Like, we both don't know what we're doing. And that like kind of made me feel better. I was like, you're right. Like, we both don't know what we're doing. Like, we can learn together and we can make mistakes together. And it made me feel a lot better.
Mhm.
And I was like, and I also felt better because I had taken more like marketing classes. So I was like, all right, I feel like I can really like help Sid rather than hinder her.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, why not?
And it really helped too because I sang the Star Spangled Banner for NJCU's graduation.
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you. And I posted it on TikTok and it went insane. Like I think it's at 3.4 million views right now.
Whoa.
And we were doing crazy work beforehand to get like the accounts right. Like we spent a long time like getting the accounts correct because we knew at the time we were like, so something's gonna happen and we want to be ready for it. And we were ready for it, which was a crazy like full circle moment. We were like, wow, like the education really helped. So, and now it was a big push for us to be like, no, like we're on the right path and we're doing a really good job and we just need to keep going.
Yeah.
Right.
One thing, like, so last night I was with my girlfriend and she actually pulled up a video of of you singing. And I was like, who is that? And she's like, oh, it's Celia Millevio. And I'm like, oh, I'm interviewing her tomorrow. Like, she's coming to my school. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah. So I was like, you guys did a really good job. You did a really good job. It was amazing.
Thank you so much.
Now, I want to ask about what has American Idol done for your career? Not so like your personal self, but your career, like, partnerships, marketing, the whole 9 yards. What has it done for you in your career?
Guys, I'm going to be so honest. It really didn't do much for my career
Huh.
other than the fact that I was on it.
Right.
Nothing else really came from it. Everything that came out of it was just everybody else's view of me around like the town or whatever. They're like, oh no, like she was on American Idol. Like, no, she's gonna be really like she's gonna do it.
For marketing.
I mean, hey, could be, but I started to take myself really seriously afterward. But like everyone who was working on my music at that point, Mr. Figueroa from County Prep, we are like this doing music. He's produced my entire project. He literally picked me up and was like, we're gonna do this. And I was like, okay, perfect. This is great. Like I have an entire project ready to go. Like just say when. And like he always knew, like everyone around me always knew, Christina always knew, but I think going on the show really helped me be like, no, like I can actually do this.
Right.
Like I could really do this. So
it's funny because I just had a moment like that earlier this year because we all love broadcast and doing this stuff, and interviews exactly like what we're doing right now has pushed me to say that I could major in this in college. So even you didn't even know it, but like that feeling, there's none like it, man. Isn't it? So I totally get what you're talking about.
Yeah, we can attest that to all of the administration that loves to help us with this. We have Miss Emily Rodriguez that signs all of this and lets all of this happen. And one day after, I think it was the
there was a few times she's came to the shows.
Right.
Yeah,
but there was a specific one. Was it the Black Association Award?
Black History Month ceremony.
Yes, she came up to us. She came up to us and she was like, guys, we put up a step and repeat and had interviews with all of the people that were getting awards. And she came up to us after. She was like, I'm completely blown away with you guys, with what you guys are doing. I think you guys are doing an amazing job. How can we help you? We got this person that can come in whenever you want them to. And ever since then, I mean, they've just been helping us. So honestly, we all can feel the same thing that you are.
You guys are blessed. Like this is a really, really great spot to be in.
Thank you.
Our supervisor, Miss Franco. Shout out, Miss Franco.
Shout out, Miss Franco.
She contacted Jade. Jade is our known producer, and we were like,
Jade.
we're doing this.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna hit you because they're telling me to wrap it up. We're gonna just hit you with some quick questions. You're gonna give us some quick answers. It's just really quick. Biggest inspiration to your career?
My mom.
Your mom? Opera singer?
Yeah.
Totally understand that.
Yeah.
Coolest people you've worked with?
Mr. Figueroa. Like that guy's cool. He's just a cool guy.
All righty. I think that's about it. That bell was kind of the indicator.
He was like, we're done here.
Yeah.
All righty, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, you want to take us out singing?
No, you're gonna have to go to Spotify to hear that. Spotify,
Yes.
Apple Music.
Yes, promote yourself. What's next? What's next?
What's
next? What's next?
I have a project coming out in the summertime, but I do have 2 singles off of that project out right now.
Awesome.
Sydney Millevio and Spotify, Apple Music, everything. Stream Morning Coffee and John My Sins.
You heard her.
Got you.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Absolutely.
thank you guys for watching another great interview in the Raps. Kanan, Jose, Kaden, the crew backstage, Sydney, Zisa, Christina, right? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, play it out. Play her out.
Don't tell me you hold it. Don't tell me that you miss me. 'Cause I can tell from how you kiss me. And don't tell me that you love me. 'Cause I can hear it in your heartbeat. I try.